Hello everybody, hopefully you're having a good day or night. Today I'm going to be talking about Alexander the Great's treasure spawn. So to start off, there's no rates up. If there's not rates up, and if the jackpot's not looking clean, if it's clustered, if there's more than three things, if there's more than three things in the jackpot, your chances of getting the scrolls that you want, well, the scroll that you want, not scrolls, because there's three scrolls. The chances of getting the scroll you want, if you only want one, is extremely low. The more you want from it, the more you want from the jackpot, the higher the chance of you getting it is. Like always, so if you only want one scroll, for example, Alexander the Great, it's not worth it, and there's no rates up. Gear spawn in this will be your favorite friend, whether you're doing divine or treasure, one of those two. Gear spawn will be your favorite friend with rates up. And since there's no rates up, it's just like a needle in a haystack like everything else in this spawn. So it's going to be extremely hard to even pull from the gear spawn alone. The rates are 6%, so you don't have a high chance of getting the SSR, but that's the usual chances. There's 6 chests. Moving on to Alexander the Great. He does a lot of damage, highest I've ever seen for ability power. He can go up to 505. He might be a potential board wiper. I have no clue, but he does do a lot of damage. He is ideal for lancers and soldiers. He can be useful for archers, berserkers, and rooks since they do both magical and physical damage. He is more useful for classes that do physical damage, though, that use physical damage, as most of his buffs are circled around that. He gets Unison back quickly and cast Hero. Hero is one of the best buffs in the game, but it is a late game buff. It's essential as a late game buff. It's not essential as an early game buff. The more stats you have, the more you have when it's doubled. And reduced healing effects received by 70%. The stronger your cleric is, let's say you have a high cleric with super magic attack, super magic defense, and skills beyond Super Saiyan God. Yeah, I know I made a joke there. He has really good skills, or she has really good skills on the weapons that give heals beyond heals. You don't even have to worry about that side effect. So yeah, Alexander the Great doesn't just make you strong, he makes you army strong. Yeah, if you got my joke there. Yep. Anyways, he's good for player versus player, player versus enemy, excels in both. Going to Romeo, he does good damage. He increases stats of all allies by 60 and decreases stats of all enemies by 60 for 40 seconds, both. So that's really good. He excels at player versus enemy. He's also good for player versus player, though. He's more of one of those monsters you would use when you're at the boss battle or you had a really hard monster in general, to really help push that DPS to different types of levels. You also cast Elevation on yourself. I'll have that above. You also cast Awakening on yourself. I'll have that above. Now, Elevation is actually cast on all enemies. And then he has deals 40% of your current HP as damage to yourself. Now, that's worth it compared to what he does. Then Cleopatra. She excels in player versus player by far. Not really player versus enemy, but she still can be useful. She does good damage. She casts Miasma at a 70% chance. Miasma does 10% of HP for 2.5 seconds and reduces status alignments by 50. She casts Prohibit Unison at a 50% chance. That helps whenever you're doing a Unison battle. If you go first and they get hit with Prohibit Unison, regardless of whether they're alive and they chose a Unison, they cannot use their Unison. Karma is pretty much when they get buffs, they turn to debuffs. Whenever the enemy buffs themselves, they turn to debuffs. And then for DPS, and then she also helps gain Unison back. So she's pretty dang good. The Triton's good for both player versus player and player versus enemy. She does good damage. She casts Kismet. Kismet turns debuffs into buffs for yourself and your allies. And whenever you get debuffed, it turns to debuff too. And Mithra is good for player versus enemy. She heals. He casts Resurrection. Lucifer heals. He attacks once. And his skills mostly, his added effects mainly good for soldiers. I started butter there. Increases attack and defense for soldier allies by 30% for 60 seconds, and then the rest is like ability power increase, except for archer. That is a magic power increase. And then we go to exchange rewards, the medals, the usual scrolls, and the side ones are 6,000, 7,000. If you have a lot of side treasure medals, you don't want the featured, first thing I recommend is Purge. Purge has a thing called damage down, one of the greatest skill reduction games in the game. The only armor that's better than this is the Red Dragon, and that's because it has one more cost. Because the higher the cost, the better stats it gives. So it pretty much gives a little better stats. I'd recommend putting this under your treasure medals. If you're not going for the scrolls, this is the first thing you want from the treasure medals. You might argue that they have a defense. They have magic down and physical down reduction. Well, let me tell you that physical damage down and magical damage down count as the same skill. So you can only have either 2 physical, 2 magic damage downs, or 1 physical, 1 magic damage down. Well, if you get Purge, you could stack physical and magic damage reduced twice. So that's why it's really essential. It clears up gear. It allows you to do more, take less damage, I meant to say, and so on. And if you have war medals, I secondly recommend the crystal stuff. It does the regular testaments plus, and it has abilities. And if you were to have extra and you want another option, then I go for guardian stuff and then imperial. And yep, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching, thank you for tuning in, and I'll see you in the next video. This is the AzureWrath. I'm out. Peace.